let me ask you the first question, because the series, we have been doing this series for some time now, and it's all about crisis, pandemic, and we bring in a global expert who can help us and the people with us and all the people around us to how to deal better with this situation. So, in the wake of going pandemic, what do you think? How important is self-leadership in crisis situation? And how has the leadership definition, style, behavior has changed over the last 12 months since this has all started?
Excellent. Great question, Fahad. And I'd like to maybe just set that up a little bit. First of all, self-leadership is so critical during this time because so many people are hurting. There is a real change in people's well-being and their happiness, and many people's success professionally has been impacted by this, and people are hurting because of the uncertainty. And there's a change in our working conditions. There's a loss of employment. Some of you maybe have reduced the work that you're doing, which means pay is going down, and that creates more anxiety and uncertainty. Maybe you're worried about your health or your family members. People are paralyzed by bad news. And as a result, they're spending too much time watching the media, waiting for the latest update. And that's causing some paralysis and additional anxiety. And, some people are waiting for things to change. It's hard. And people are hurting. So what do we do about it is basically where we want to go. But before I go, with your permission, I want to talk about part of the problem with self-leadership and changing our mindset. And one of those things is what's called a negativity bias. You and I all have what's called a negativity bias, which means we are quicker to believe the negative before the positive. You guys, maybe you've heard this, that bad news sells, right? So when you turn on the TV, on the news stations, they want to be the quickest to tell you the worst news because they know people are going to tune into that, right, Rabia? And
yeah.
It's interesting because this is why first impressions are so important, because if you make a bad impression, people will remember the bad stuff about you before they remember the good. And it's hard to overcome those initial negativity biases. And so, and there's a reason why this exists, and it's partly self-preservation. Our brains are designed to react to that negative in case it's true. Because if it is true, that could mean that, our lives are in danger. And so we tend to prioritize the negative higher than sometimes positive. Maybe you've seen some people like John Krasinski from The Office. I don't know if people around the world watch it. I've never watched it because it just freaks me out. That gives me anxiety watching it. But he has started what's called Some Good News Network. And people are just craving good news because they've had so much bad news, because they've been so biased towards that. So that's one problem.